Hello, simps. So, as many of you guys already know, that I can never seem to settle on a single art style, and I'm always exploring and always trying out new things. And for the longest time, I've had an obsession with semi-realism, but I never seem to have like the skill or the courage or the means to try it out because back then I had like a bamboo tablet and that sucked, and I had Clip Studio Paint on my desktop, and drawing on a tablet on a like and looking up at a desktop, it didn't really work for me, and a lot of it just did not work out until I got my iPad Pro, and now I finally decided that it is time that I give semi-realism a try and kind of like an actual full-fledged attempt. And I've done a few with my BNHA Ancient China AU kind of like little series, and then I've been working on it and trying to explore. And a few of my favorite semi-realistic art style artists are Salo Art, Kooleen, Sam Yang, and I'm just really obsessed with their art style. So of course I decided that I will start using my favorite artists' art styles as kind of like a learning tool. And so recently I watched a lot of Kooleen tutorials and so I'm going to record myself and my own attempt at a very semi-realistic art style, and I'm going to use a guy because I like drawing hot guys. And thing is, I can't choose my favorite Bakugo Katsuki because he has short hair, and right now I just do not have the confidence to draw short hair in a semi-realistic art style. So I chose another favorite of the fabulous, wonderful, one and only Mikey. I mainly chose Mikey because he has like that mid-length long hair and like wavy bangs, and it's just perfect for like beginner semi-realistic artists like me, because it's like you don't have to worry about spikiness, it's just flowy, it's easy to paint, it's just everything is perfect. And so I didn't record myself, but I made this rough sketch of Mikey, and I'm just doing like headshots right now because that's easy and bodies are ugh. And so yeah, I am starting with this really, really rough sketch, and as I stare at the sketch, somehow it really reminds me of Ghetto from Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, the more I look at it, the more it doesn't look like Mikey and looks more like Ghetto. Like, if I just, like, add, like, a line, like, ugh, no, that looks too much like Ghetto. Nope. Let's try, like, a high ponytail. No, that still looks like Ghetto. Never mind. We're gonna keep it just low ponytail, just like this. So right off the bat, we're gonna start with lowering the opacity of our sketch. And then I'm going to take my sweetest fucking time to find a actual skin shade that's like dull. I'm gonna go on the dull side, just cause, and I'm going to be using this round sketch Jing sketch brush to just like kind of fill everything in, and I'm gonna just speed this up so I don't bore you guys out. Okay, now that we have our skin shade, we're just gonna go in with the shade of the shirt. And if you guys don't know, I'm referencing this photo from the Canon anime. And here I'm just gonna speed this up again because it's like super boring. It's really just me filling in the art with like absolutely no skill. And now I am selecting kind of like the hair color. So Mikey kind of has like this creamy yellowy hair color, but it's like also we're gonna choose it on the dull side because we're going with dull tones to stick with that Kooleen style art style. So it's kind of like this dull custard yellow, and we're just gonna go in and roughly fill it out because we're not trying to like impress anyone here because right now this is like a very very rough layout of colors. I usually don't do this. Usually I go in with like line art first, but now I'm just going in with really rough, I know, I can't speak. Really rough coloring, and hopefully it works out. And now that we're done with the hair, we're gonna go back for the brows. Using the same color, go in with the brows. Oh wait, hold up. I'm going to put it on like a separate layer because a mistake that I have made very often when I first started doing digital drawing is putting the brows and the hair on the same layer, and that caused me a shit ton of issues when I'm doing shading, and it's just like the colors get everywhere. So I go like all out when it comes to like layer. I make so many layers when I draw, and let's just hope that I actually organize it this time. And now for the eyes. Usually you want to pick like a skin shade just slightly lighter than the skin shade. Yes, the color slightly lighter than the skin shade, and then you just kind of like go in, and we're not really gonna worry about shape right now. It's going to look very messy, but we're just really drawing over our sketch, and then we're going to like make it better later while we're doing the shading. And so yeah, just going in really rough right now, and oh my god, it looks so disgusting. What the heck? Oh, I know. I think it's because like the right eye, the which is the one on your left, has like longer lashes than the one on the right. So that's why I made the white a little bit taller on the right, but okay, you know what? It's okay. All's good. It'll get fixed. It'll look better when we draw in the lashes. So let's just continue. So now we're just gonna do some shading now. We're gonna pick like a dull shade, just going down the color, and we're just gonna go in and color in the shade below the chin. Never forget the collarbone. The collarbone is what makes the guys smexy. So we're always going to shade the bottom of the collarbone, which is also the top of their pectorals. Yes, in Kooleen's word, juicy. Here I am just going in with like another, like kind of like just filling out everything, shading everything below the face. The goal here is to keep the shading in the face and the neck down separate. That way when you do end up shading the face, like you won't get those shades kind of like below and then get all them mixed up, because like the color you want to keep it very separate and distinct, which is something that I didn't do before. I don't do this very often, and I really don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, the only thing is just like I felt like it would make more sense to keep things separate and do things separately. That way like the colors just don't end up mixing and ruining everything. And I'm a little congested right now. I feel like you can hear it in my voice. I was doing yard work earlier, and pollen allergies is a thing in autumn apparently. And so now I'm going in with the face shade, and I actually put this layer below the neck shade because I want to use the neck shade to actually define the shape of the face. So I have to put all the shading I do on the face below that so it doesn't like go over the neck shade. Next, we want to go on those smexy tear bags, but in Mikey's case, they would be kind of like eye bags and dark circles. So we want to go in with like a darker, duller shade because Mikey literally, I don't know, he gets no sleep. I feel like that's adult Mikey. I don't really know what I'm going for here. Am I going for like an adult Mikey, or am I going for like a teen Mikey? I feel like this looks more like an adult Mikey, even though I'm using teen Mikey as a reference here. And now I'm just going in with some nose contouring so he looks like he has a nose bridge, unlike me. You'd think I know how to contour and do makeup because I can draw, but that's just not the case. Someone teach me how to do makeup, please. And now we're just adding a little more shading to his face. So the face is, you want to think of the face kind of like a round ball, and so you want to like add the shade as you would to a round ball. Basically knowing where the light source, and right here kind of the idea is that the light is coming from above-ish, so you would be adding more shading to the chin side of the face, but I'm like not really doing a good job here, so I'm gonna just like blend. Hopefully that helps. And now I'm going in with like a double eyelid crease cause Asian beauty standards. No, I'm just kidding. This is really up for personal taste. I just like double eyelids. I like drawing them, and I don't know why. It just gives like more room for, I don't know, depth, I guess. So yeah. This is like totally optional. I'm gonna speed up my contouring process so I don't bore you guys with it, but I'm still going to like play it all just in case there's any of you guys who still wants to see the process. So enjoy one song worth of contouring. So now that we're back, we can finally get to the good part, the eyes. So this is where you can start making things, well, in Kooleen's words again, juicy. So we're just gonna pick like a dark shade, and we're gonna use the clean sketch brush, which is like one of my favorite outlining brush. It's also from the Jing sketch brush set, which is like the one that I use basically the most now. And so we're just gonna go in and outline the eyes with that, and then afterwards we're going to add the juicy eyelashes. So we're gonna do this for both eyes. And right now I feel like the eye white right now is a little bit too bright, and it might throw me off a little when I'm, you know, going to shade, do more shading. So I'm just gonna darken that for now, and also like darkening it, I can really tell like where I did not add color, the eye white color. So That's really helpful to me, and I'm just gonna like, yeah, combine these two layers, and then I'm just gonna fill in the rest of the eye white. Da 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 da. Boop 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 boop. Fill that in and fill that in. Yes. Here we go. Okay. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, and so now that we're done with that, we're actually gonna go in and do more shading on the eyes, because right now the eyes looks very flat. The eyelids are not juicy enough. Ever since I started watching Kooleen, you know, I just cannot get the word juicy out of my head. So yes, we're gonna start with like a really dark reddish purplish tone, with kind of like, we're gonna go on a little more on the dull side, and just shade that in, and we're really not gonna worry about how messy it looks right now, because the blender is our best friend. Yay! Yeah, I'm just gonna blend that out. Blend. And no, that looks horrible right now, so we're just gonna like trust the process and keep blending, keep going, and you know, add more depth to the crease line that we made. And then always on the top of the eyelid there's going to be a little bit of a highlight, so you want to keep that part a little bit lighter. And just gonna speed up the process now. And so we're just gonna add some more contouring to like the under eye and just around the nose bridge in general, to give those eye bags a little more like realistic kind of feel, and just like, you know, pop the nose bridge a little more. Now that we've given our eye area quite some depth, we're gonna add some highlights to we're gonna be, let's see, using Jinx Sketch again, and oof, that is big. Okay, small. And so we're gonna be adding some highlights to the inner corner of the eye, just like how those, you know, beauty gurus do on doing the makeup tutorials do their makeup. And then you want to kind of like blend that out so it looks more natural, like a more of a natural-ish highlight. Maybe a bigger brush. No, smaller. Yeah. God, this is so hard. Sometimes it's just playing with brushes. Yeah, that looks good. So yeah, you want to kind of like add some highlight, and yes, that already pops a lot. Ooh, yes, beautiful, amazing. Love it. Okay, now continue on. I'm just gonna be like adding a little more contouring here and there, and so I'm just gonna speed this up a little bit. Ooh, drawing eyelashes is one of the hardest part. I mean, like, I like it, but it's like super hard to draw really good looking eyelashes. So skip that for now. We're gonna like choose like a deep purplish color, like really dull purple for Mikey's eyes. And then we're just gonna like use a soft brush to brush it in, because you don't want the eyes to be like too rigid in a semi-realistic art style. So you want to use like kind of like you want it to have like a soft edge. And what you could always do is, you know, use a brush, a blend brush to blend it out later. But I think that doesn't give like as good of a soft edge as the soft brush does. And ew, what the heck? Why does his eyes look so dead and like they look like fish eyes? Ew, no, what the heck? No, no, they need to like be more centered. They need to be like a little bit okay, better, like a little bit better, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna erase those and we're just gonna move on. Looking good. Okay, like not bad. Yeah, I like that. So let's just continue. So I'm gonna be adding a little more shading to this. Earlier we added like general shade to the face that gives it the roundish shape, and now we're just gonna add some more shades that should give it that kind of like lighting feel to it. So they should be like the more like, so not the soft edge kind of shape, but you should actually see some rigid like edges to it. So like what I'm doing it, and so kind of like under the hair, defining the jawline, things like that. So that's just going in and making this contain more depth, essentially. I can't talk. I can't English. And now I'm going to do some rough shading for the hair. And then like halfway through the shading, I realized that I really can't do this without any outline for the hair. Like I could have, I like, you know, I passed it off with the skin, but for hair, I feel like you really do need it, like kind of like an outline to really help guide you through the shapes of the strands and stuff like that. So, which is why I added an outline to the hair. And then after watching a few more of Kooleen's tutorials, I decided I needed to make the eyes look a little more realistic. So here I am adding some details to the eyes. And after that, I will be working on the eyelashes. And so for the eyelashes, you want to go in with the same color as the outline that I did. And a really good thing about Procreate is how easy it is to select the color. And for me, it feels more natural to start from outside in, because from outside in you can lay out the shape of the eye and see it in, because the hair covered like half of his eye, right? It'll be very difficult to see the entire shape and how it will look, and so it's really difficult for me to like angle the eyelashes so that it looks natural. But doing it as a whole and seeing the whole eye will help me angle the eyelashes much better. So I had to turn off the color for the hair and do it that way. And the his iris is really dark, so you won't be able to see his eyelashes very well, but that doesn't really matter because later on when we go back in with like a lighter color over the eyelash, we can actually get that. And here we're going to add more shading to the eye white. Because your eyeball is a round shape, remember it does need shading around the edges, and then depending on where the light source comes from. And because the eyelashes do form kind of like a curtain over the eye, you do need some shading over the top. And generally the eye works like this. It's like the there's a shading on the top where the eyelashes cover, and then the bottom gets like lighter, and then there's always going to be some reflection in the iris, the pupil, not the iris, the pupil, yes. So yeah, so that's the general rule of thumb for shading eyes. So as long as you kind of like have a general idea of that, I think you should be good. And now we're gonna go in with some like lower lashes. Here I'm using like a flat brush to help, and if there's anything I hate more than upper lashes, it's lower lashes. They are so hard to make to look natural, and it's mainly because of like um most people don't have really luscious lower lashes, but drawing lower lashes just makes the eyes look so much prettier. And so it's really hard to make it look realistic because you can't really reference it off of people you know, so you always have to go online to find like references. And then a lot of the times, but then like real life people, their eye shape is very different from like anime people, so it's so difficult to actually find the right angle for the lower lashes. And it's just hard. Okay, art is hard. I can't art. And those upper eyelids really just need more depth right now. They look a little flat, so we're just gonna add some darker shade in there and kind of like make the line a little bit more harsh, so it's actually more distinct. The next part is my favorite part of this drawing, and I have been like, I usually save the best for last, and this, even though this isn't last, but it's like, really towards the end. So I'm gonna be working on Kooleen's signature juicy lips, starting with like that bird shaped mouth. So the bird mouth shape, and I just love how Kooleen always says "tatakai" every time she mentions a bird. It's just so funny. And so mine looks more like a bird gliding because Mikey's lips looks just like, I want to give it a more flatter look, so he doesn't look like he's frowning. It's just kind of like his signature neutral face. So yes, that looks okay. And let's see here, one of the shade layers, we're gonna add the lips now, the juicy as lips. So we're gonna use a soft brush for that. We're gonna lightly brush on that reddish tint, make it juicy as fuck. I love Kooleen's art style for the juicy lips. They look so luscious. I was never really much of a type that liked the big lips trend, because a lot of people, when they fill in their lips, it's just like they look so unnatural. The only people who can pull off big lips are those who naturally have it. And so people who like go and actually get those done, it just I don't know, it wasn't for me. But when I saw Kooleen's juicy as plumpy anime lips, I was just like, oh, yas, smexy. For me, the lips is like another hard part that I have to constantly tweak with, because if I make it too plumpy, it looks like a girl, and you don't want that on Mikey. But if I don't make it plumpy enough, it doesn't give off that juiciness that we're going for. So it's a bit tricky. So I constantly have to zoom in and out just to see, like, is this too much or is it not enough? And so here we need to give that Cupid's bow a little bit more of a distinction. So we're gonna add some light there. Yes. Ooh, yes. Immediately that looks so much better. Like, look at that. Yo. I love it. Okay, and we need some more shading for this. So not enough shading right now at the Cupid's bow area, so we're gonna add that. And some light, no, dark. Let's see. Ew, no, no. That looks like Hitler. And like that mustache. Oh my god, no. Ew. Never mind. We're gonna leave it as that. Yeah, this looks good. Okay. And so next we're going to make some do some more details with the lips. You can't just have it as one color. You gotta have some depth, okay? It's gonna be darker towards the inside of your mouth. So we're gonna make that part a little bit darker. Yes, already the juiciness is coming out. Because also remember, this part is under your top lip, right? So there's always gonna be a little bit of shading there. Yes. Already looking much better than before. And I stopped recording because I had to take a break from art, and then I came back, and when I looked at the eyes again, it's just, they look so bad. They look like dead fish eyes. That's what they look like. So I'm just gonna like fix them up a bit, because first of all, they still look a bit like far apart from one another. Also, they just, I don't know, it still looks off. I mean, to be fair, I don't think my drawing's very symmetrical in the first place because I didn't use the symmetry tool, and I kind of just like trusted myself. And the fact that it looks okay to me, you know, just meant that I didn't feel like I had to do that much of a change. But now I feel like the eyes are just not it right now, so I have to change like the eyes, and yeah, no. So I'm just gonna like redo the eyes, because the first time I did them, I didn't exactly follow my guidelines very well. I was going for kind of like, he's kind of like, his head is tilted down, right? So he's technically looking up. And so that is supposed to give more of a threatening feel, but when I drew in the iris the first time, I kind of drew them a little bit down in general. So he looks like he's just like looking where he's facing. And that was just not it, so I'm just gonna change that. So I decided to cut a bit of my video, like a screen recording, after I finished reworking the eyes, because I was working on the hair, and I actually had to like redo the entire shape of the hair, because the roundness of kind of like the hair was not very real, giving me that realistic feel. So I wanted the bangs and all the ends of the hair to be more pointy, so it looks more, it fits the semi-realism a bit better. And now I'm working on the shading of the hair. I chose kind of like a shade that's a little bit redder and darker than the base shade of the hair. And what you want to do is you want to get a large brush and lay down the general area of the shade first. You always want to start big before you go small. Because for me, I think the light is coming on top, and then his where he ties his hair, like the front is going to be a bit loose, and so you kind of want to give the front a bit of a kind of a shade there, and then his bangs and his hair are all gonna be they're gonna have a bit of like a curl, a waviness to it, and so you want to have some shades, some general shades where it kind of like bends inward. So just adding that, it does give that visual effect. And after you have kind of that general shade, now you can go in and shade in the strands, the detail strands. Always still you want to start with like big patches first. So anime characters, their hair, you know, they don't go one strand at a time, but they always come in like, I don't know, what do you call them? Kooleen calls them like bananas, but it's just really like one lock of hair, right? So you want to do a lock of hair by a lock of hair, and you don't want to give it too much detail at once, because that will be very difficult to work. So we're going to just fix things up, and then because I worked on this without outlines, but we're gonna fix it up, and then we're gonna add outlines later to it. And then we added this like dark brownish shade to give that extra depth and extra strandy look to the hair. And the blender is always your best friend, and it is my best friend in this case, because I'm always blending things out, and it's just like, ugh. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't, so it's just, but we're gonna trust the process. I skipped the rest of the top of the video, like the shading, and now we're going in with some lighting. And after we finish adding some highlights to the hair, which is usually where this light will hit, I started working on the bottom part of the hair. I put them on separate layers because it's just easier to work with that way. That way when you're shading the bottom, you don't really affect the top, and then when you shade the top, you don't affect the bottom. It's just easier for me that way. And as always, you want to do big shades, big patches first, and then go in with the little ones. And that is generally how you do hair. And hair is actually so much faster and easier for me than skin. I spend so long on skin. And now that we're finally done with the hair, we want to start working on the brows. So the brows right now still look flat because it's only one color, but we're gonna like give it that kind of like hairy texture to it. So you want to add like, you want to start like erasing, I guess, some parts of it so it gives it that strandy look, and then use like a smaller, flatter brush to like draw in like kind of like strand by strand, I guess, to give it that like, realistic hairiness to it. Next, I'm going to add some shading to the brows because if you don't shade it, it looks flat and 2D. Your brows usually rest on your brow bone, and it goes supposed to like arch inward to where your eyeball sits. And so the bottom part of your eyebrows is supposed to be darker just because of lighting. And then you want to like add like a darker shade to kind of like outline each individual dark strands of hair, so it looks like you have lots and lots of luscious strands of eyebrows. Now that I'm done with the eyebrows, I'm going back into the eyes, and I'm just going to be adding some of that waterline to the bottom of the eye with the light pink. And that is because the head is tilting down and the light is coming from on top, so you're really going to be able to see that waterline, and you want that to have like a lighter shade because the eyes on the bottom is supposed to be lighter than the top. And so yeah, we're just going to do that. And now I'm just going to add a new layer and then work on the pupil now. So in the manga, Mikey doesn't actually have pupils, and in the anime, his eyes is really just a gradient of really dark purple to like a lighter bluish purple color, and in the manga, it's just like a bunch of hatchings. And you know what's really satisfying to me usually when I draw eyes is adding the light to the eyes. It brings it to life, but I have to constantly control the urge to add that for Mikey because Mikey's supposed to have dead eyes. And now I'm just going to kind of like add a redder tint, use a more redder tint to add some shading, some really darker shading to his face because he's looking a little pale right now, and his face in general, I use dull tones to kind of like fit the dullness of his soul, and also because Kooleen's art style uses a lot of dull tones, so I'm trying to like kind of learn off of that. But I did lean a little bit more towards like a more vibrant tone than Kooleen, because her tones are very, very dull compared to mine, and they're on the darker side. And because I use kind of like a lighter tone, so it kind of just looks like he's like hella pale. So you want to add some redness to the color of his face, in order to give it a little bit more life, because as dead as Mikey looks, he's not actually dead. And so you want some of that redness into him, just to signify that he is alive and kicking. So you guys know how my favorite part of a drawing is adding lights to the eyes. Well, since I can't do that, I'm going to be adding some highlights to the nose, which is still very satisfying, and it just kind of like makes it pop, you know? Yes. Now it looks like he has glowy skin. And we're just gonna like blend it out just a little bit so it doesn't look too harsh. Yes, 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 I like it. I'm going to top this off by adding some more highlights to the face in general, like the nose and forehead, because the light is coming from on top, so you really want to like highlight that part so it looks like it's actually receiving the light. Now back to the juicy lips. I always like to leave my favorite part of the drawing towards the end. It's just like how I like to leave my favorite food on the plate until I'm almost done, just so I can like enjoy the final satisfaction of it. So I'm just gonna like add some final details to the lips to make it look more red and extra alive and juicy. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm gonna make it plumpier, just slightly plumpier. Yes. Mmm, delicious. Doesn't that just make you want to kiss him? Oh, lovely. And you're not gonna achieve that final juicy lips look that Kooleen does without adding the light to the lips. Look at that. Oh my god. Now it's looking real juicy. Yes. Mmm. It almost looks like he has lip gloss on. Ah, now we have a kissable Mikey. And I know I'm constantly going back to the eyes, and it almost seems like I'm never finishing it, but you have to understand that when you're putting together a drawing, you have to work on it as a whole, and you don't want to give too much detail to one thing at a time, because then it will throw the entire picture off. So something I was taught growing up when I was studying art is to work on everything as a whole, and that's actually something that I don't do well enough, because I'm always adding too much details to the face before I ever start working on the hair or the clothes. So that's something I do struggle with, and so I'm just gonna be adding lashes to the eyes, and I'm going to be adding the lashes in like the color of the skin, kind of to make it, because like his lashes are really dark and his eyes are really dark, so you can't really see them. So adding some in the color of the skin really helps the lashes pop for some reason. It's not natural, but it just looks good. And so now I'm just going to kind of add some final details to the skin below the face, and clean up the lines essentially for the clothes, the skin, and all of that. And I'm just gonna like speed through this so I don't bore you guys. Something really different about how I drew this piece of art compared to how I drew my other anime art is I usually start with line art first, and I usually use black line art. But for this one, I did like line art kind of like last, and it's really weird for me. It's like a weird concept. I think the clothes definitely are the easiest part for me, obviously because he only has like what, um, a quarter page of clothes that I need to make. Um, it's just really easy to make like the wrinkles in his shirt, and also I have like a three color rule for clothes. I don't like using too many shades of colors for the clothes, so it's usually a base color, a shade color, and a kind of like a highlight color. So something darker than the base color and something lighter. And usually that works. Sometimes if it's like too colorful, I might have to like add a little, like maybe one or two shades more, but I usually don't want to go over, usually I want to stick to three. I don't want to go over like five for clothes. And I know I keep going back to the skin and the hair, and it's just because that when you work on another part of the drawing and then you go back and look at the big picture, and then you find, and then like after resting your eyes a little bit with something else, and then you go back and you go like, oh holy shit, that part just does not look good, okay, and then you go back to working on it, which is why artists are technically never done with their art, because they always go back and find something that's off. And so but fortunately, this piece of artwork didn't actually take me that long to do, in total number of hours. So all's good. I'm just gonna speed through this a little bit. So, like I said before, he's a little pale, so adding some redness, a little bit of blush, just to give him that little rosy cheeks will help with his looks. Kooleen likes to make her characters look intoxicated. That's usually not the look I'm going for with my characters, but adding a bit of redness makes them look more alive, so I'm just gonna like do that with him. That way he doesn't look pale like a vampire, even though vampires are sexy. Hashtag vampire nights. Do you guys like Zero from Vampire Nights, by the way? He's like one of my first anime crushes. One of my many first anime crushes. I was not a Kaname girl. I didn't like Kaname. I liked Zero. Like something about silver haired anime guys just, clicks with me. Okay, and next I am going to be working a little bit more on the nose. His nose looks tiny and super tall right now. I feel like it's not wide enough. Yeah, it just looks like the tip of his nose is just too much. So we're gonna add a little bit of like shading towards the side of his nose where his above his nostrils. Yes, so now it looks like he actually has a normal size, still on the slim side, because anime characters have tiny ass noses, but like it's still on the slim side, but at least it looks normal now. At least it doesn't look like his tip is like protruding so much. And we're just gonna like highlight his the like the sides just to make it stand out a little more, and then we're gonna blend that out. Yeah, perfect. As Kooleen likes to say, Picasso. Okay, Picasso. I absolutely love everything she says. She's so funny. So yeah, and I'm now just gonna clean up the hair a little bit. Gonna blend the outlines in with the actual hair, and finally going to be adding some like hair strands like I did with the Baji and Kazutora picture that I drew. I actually added a lot of like individual strands so it looks more realistic, so I'm just gonna do that as well with Mikey's hair. So this essentially is my finished product, and I don't know how I'm feeling about the gray background. The entire tone of this drawing looks a little dull. I guess that's what I was going for, but the thing is the reason why I used a gray background when I draw is because white is too bright on the eyes, so it kind of like hurts the eyes when I'm drawing. And overall, I know I used a lot of red tones later on when I went back into the drawing, and I'm not seeing any of that when I zoom out with the gray background going on, so let me try white. Okay, I don't think I'm digging the white either. Overall, it still looks a little too dull for my liking, and so let's try changing the background color again, this time to something that could bring out the redness more in the picture. So I'm thinking of something like a dark reddish grayish tone. Let's see. Okay, so I really like this color. Actually, I'm digging it much more than the gray and the white. I think it brings out that reddish tone that I added in the skin much more, and the picture looks less dull, and it looks like it has actual color, and so I might just stick with this. I hope you guys like it. I hope Kooleen likes it. Yeah, actually, she might judge my art really bad. Maybe I should submit this for Fix My Art. So yeah, hope you guys like this video. It's, not common that I do this, and this video, things like this takes a long time for like post editing and all of that, so please give a like and comment, and I hope you guys enjoyed this entire video, and let me know if you want to see more like this on my channel. I will try to add more if you guys like it. And finally, I just want to wish you guys a happy late Halloween, and I want to apologize for not making any Halloween headcanons because I know those were definitely requested. Halloween just isn't that much celebrated in my life, so I will definitely be working on future Christmas and New Year's and possibly Valentine's Day headcanons. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and stay safe and stay simping.